What is happening, game designers? So we are knee deep into the start of the new Summer Games Jam. For those of you who didn't know, there was an amazing high budget theme reveal video. The theme is summer simulation, and at this point you should be working on your brainstorm and maybe even your prototype. We'll talk a little bit about the time frame for the game jam, and I also want to talk a little bit about some of the awesome upgrades that we made to the XP system that make it so that way your participation in the Games Division Showcase is rewarded and encouraged. Let's check it out. First, I owe a big shout out to admin and, of course, Teacher Michael, the best and only teacher at Hackingtons, for putting live these new XP changes, which you may have already noticed, but if you haven't, check it out. On the Hackington's regular showcase, other students will receive 5 XP whenever you upvote their projects. On the Hacker Box, the first post you create every day is worth 10 XP, but that's all you can get in any given day. But maybe you can be the one to set off another math war? I'm most excited about the Game Division Showcase. Whenever you play another student's project and leave good feedback, you will earn 20 XP per post. This caps at 60 XP per day, which means you can earn a lot of XP by spending real time playing other students' games. But remember, the rules of the Game Division say that feedback is all about thinking like a game designer. If we find you leaving feedback that is not thoughtful and not specific to the other student's game, we now have the power to remove XP. Don't be the first person to lose your XP because you were trying to abuse the system by simply leaving lots of throwaway comments. Remember from the first degree videos that good feedback starts by being respectful. Look at this excellent feedback from Radix. His feedback demonstrates his own game design knowledge. He answers the questions of why he recommends a change, and gives answers about how to consider fixing that. As a member of the Games Division, your feedback is ultimately there to help the creator make the game that they are trying to make. Lastly, every approval that one of your games receives will earn you 5 XP, so the more quality games you have on the GD Showcase, the more XP you can farm. But treat your approval with respect, it's valuable. How do you know when to bestow your approval upon a game? First of all, it has to be complete from start to finish. That means you can experience the game mechanics and understand how to play through the whole entire game. The game also has to be fun. That's up to you to decide. If it's not fun for you, this is when you need to think like a game designer and be specific about why and suggest how to make it fun using good feedback. Lastly, the game has to have the creator's style. It should feel like their game and not somebody else's. Now at this point, some of you might be thinking, sounds like a lot of work, and it is, because making games is a lot of work. But as I've said before, making games is fun, and now you're here to help each other make the best possible games. Now we're in constant development with Games Division because it's so new and we gotta make certain that it comes out perfect. Well, we're adjusting the requirements to unlock Game Division. First is complete your Scratch Black Belt. Once you finish your Scratch Black Belt, you are ready to start making your own games without tutorials, and the Game Division is going to be there to help you do that. Second, when you complete your Unity White Belt, or you're part of the Unity Club, you will automatically have access to Games Division at that point. You can always, anybody, comment on Game Division projects. That means you can leave feedback as somebody who has not yet unlocked Game Division. However, we're going to make it so that way you have to be an actual Games Division member. In other words, you have it unlocked in order to give your approval, because approvals matter. Now, that means that some of you may have lost access to the Game Division features that you're used to. If you do not have those features and you still want them, make a post in the help and we will, as teachers, unlock your Game Division. So, don't forget, you're beyond the black belt, you gotta have a new challenge now, so let's figure out how to make the best games possible so that way we can get to game jamming. In fact, that's a perfect segue. Let me talk about now where you should be at within the Games Jam time frame. So at this point, we're a couple weeks in, you should have a brainstorm and maybe even a prototype that you're working on. I like to think of the entire Game Jam development cycle as being 4 stages, BPBP, or easy to remember as BUP. We have to start every jam out by brainstorming, inspired by the theme. Like Coach Lasso says, never bring an umbrella to a brainstorm. Then we have to prototype our best ideas and mechanics from that brainstorm to see what actually feels good while playing. Then we have to build our prototype out. Here's where you dedicate your energy choosing the right art, sounds, creating all the content, and polishing it to perfection. Finally, we have to publish it, which means getting the itch.io page ready to showcase our awesome finished game and wrapping up any loose ends. Now, our game jam is 8 weeks long, so each of these counters represents 1 week. So we should spend about 1 week brainstorming, about 2 making and testing prototypes, 4 building out the best prototype, and the final week wrapping up those loose ends in order to publish. Now, this is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules, but it does help to have a general sense of how to spend your time. Let me show you what I've done to brainstorm for this game jam. You may remember a much younger version of myself pulling out a pen and paper and starting the brainstorm in one of my books. Now, starting with the theme of summer simulation, I tried to think of every single possible activity I could think of during summer. Now, if you were in one of my classes, you probably remember me asking you what reminded you of summer. It's a good thing to brainstorm with others and bounce ideas off your friends. Don't worry so much about someone stealing your ideas. When I had a long list, I determined that one game concept was worth prototyping first. Now, in order to make that determination, I thought back to the First Degree Game Division video. Now, I imagined what the players could do in my game. In other words, what would the game mechanics be? Then I thought about what other games shared those mechanics in order to determine, are those the right mechanics for my game? With that in mind, I am now ready to build out a prototype in order to figure out how the mechanics should feel. Well, if you're curious to see what the actual prototype process looks like, you'll have to wait until the next Games Division show. Because that's all for now. In the meantime, keep making those games, keep providing great feedback, and join the Games Jam if you haven't yet.